a roll call, please.
All right. James Barnes.
Here.
David Blako.
Here.
Larry Chesney.
Here.
Sarah Chavilicek.
Here.
Peter Gower.
Here.
Mark Johnson.
Here.
Shelley Reed.
Here.
Kathleen Taylor.
Here.
And Diane Vanderwell.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And Director Smith, if you'd lead us in the pledge, please.
Absolutely. I'm going to just mute everyone and share my screen and bring up the flag. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwell, I move for approval of the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Vanderwell and seconded by Commissioner Gower. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 4, public comment. Do we have any?
We've received none at this time for this item.
See, no one wants to talk to us. Item 5, approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwell, I move for approval of the meeting minutes of May 28th, 20.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Blako, I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Vanderwell and seconded by Commissioner Blako. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We're at item 6, business of the day. And that goes, you're taking us, starting that off, correct, Jessica?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank
Jessica Prunty for the record.
I had to find you on the screen.
The item before you is an item requesting direction and action in regards to the commencement of the recruitment process for a new Director of Regional Planning. For a little bit of background, Interim Director Smith's interim contract goes through the end of August. This matter was brought to the governing board at their December meeting, and at the time they wanted to hold off on commencing the recruitment process and asked that it be brought back to them in the June meeting. Under your statutes, the regional planning statutes, it's actually this body that's charged with the responsibility to select 3 candidates and go through the process of searching for or posting applications and recruiting candidates, and then you select 3 candidates and present those names to the Regional Planning Governing Board. And so the governing boards took action at their meeting in June, just last week or the week before, and they asked that this matter be brought to the Regional Planning Commission, and they outlined some very general criteria and guidelines and had some comments for this planning commission. Basically, they want to keep the search local. They only wanted it to run for a week or a little over a week, the posting. And they wanted to voice their admiration and appreciation of Director Smith and hope that he will be considered as one of the candidates that would be presented to him. But they also recognize that that's ultimately this body's decision. In the past, the Planning Commission has decided to form a subcommittee, which actually undertakes kind of going through the applications and resumes that are received, and then can rank candidates, whether it's 3 or 5, that they would then bring back to this body for a final decision of the final 3 candidates that would go on to the Regional Governing Board. The Governing Board's meeting is August 13th, and so for our time frame, if you guys choose to form a subcommittee, that's one issue before you, an action for you to take. But that subcommittee is going to have to act fairly nimbly and be able to gather via this platform shortly after the posting goes out. And so what we're looking for you for is direction to staff to post the position. And Chris Tolley can talk about the different medians that we have discussed would be appropriate within the governing board's guidelines. And then we'd also be looking to see whether or not you wanted to form a subcommittee. That subcommittee will need to be able to go through applications. I anticipate maybe a very short meeting after the posting is closed to say, okay, this is the body of candidates that we've received, and maybe determine a process from there, whether you want to try to conduct interviews, whether you want to confine it just to reviewing their resumes and that they present to you. Whatever this body chooses to do, that's up to your discretion. And for the subcommittee as well, you can give that directive down for the subcommittee to follow. So I think the subcommittee will have to have a short meeting and then probably a longer meeting where they undertake actually a deliberation and potentially interviews, whatever you choose for them to do. And time for it to come back to this body for your July 23rd meeting, at which you would hopefully be making a decision on the final 3 candidates at that time. If for some reason we get screwed up with timelines, you could always have a special meeting to be able to meet the timeline to get it back to the governing board by August 13th. If you have any questions of me, I'm here. And then Chris Tolley also has details if you'd like to hear them in regards to the specifics of the postings and what we're looking at.
Thank you, Jessica. The specifics of the posting was also in the packet, correct?
I believe so. I think there was a proposed posting that for your guys' review. If you're fine with that, then you can direct staff as part of your motion to make that posting and where. And I think what Chris had pulled up was the RGJ online and print, and then also on the NVAPA, which is a free site. And we have to pay for the RGJ posting. And of course, the governing board was concerned a little bit with budgetary constraints, but they did mention local newspapers. So,
is there any questions from the commissioners for either Chris or Jessica?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwell, I have a question. And I apologize because I know I was sitting on regional when we did the last executive director, and I believe Commissioner Gower was on there with me the last time. No, so I don't have anybody on here because I guess my question is I don't remember us having a subcommittee last time.
I know Chris has done some research. I think there was a subcommittee formed the last 2 times, but you know, it's been a while, and you do not have to do that, right? You guys can just decide, hey, we're going to have a couple of meetings of the whole commission to be able to go through the applicants and et cetera. Or you can just say, hey, whoever applies, bring them all back to us at the July 23rd meeting, and we're going to make a decision on the fly. But if you want to vet it through a subcommittee, that is conforming with past practice.
Madam Chair, just as a follow-up, I would prefer that all of the commissioners participate versus having a subcommittee. And that's just my opinion.
I will ask my fellow commissioners if anyone has a differing opinion of that. I recognize that a, quote unquote, a search committee of this size can be cumbersome, but I also think it's, I would agree with Commissioner Vanderwell, it's pretty important that we all have some input into that. And this is not a criticism. I understand what the Regional Governing Board is doing by limiting the scope, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, I want us to do our due diligence with the applicants that are coming in front of us. I guess we are required to do a recruitment.
Yes, okay. You need to post the ad.
Okay.
And it's our recommendation is on TMRPA's website, the Nevada APA, and through RGJ.
Yeah.
And the governing board also stated that they wanted it advertised locally within at least the local newspapers and on the TMRPA website. I think that's entirely appropriate. During the governing board meeting, there were comments that this is really not the time, in the middle of this pandemic, to be trying to go beyond our borders and doing a nationwide type of search. And we're also aware of upcoming budgetary constraints with giving loss of revenues to the local jurisdictions as a result of the pandemic. So, and if you guys want to meet, the commissioners of this body wants to meet one more time before the July 23rd meeting entirely to go over the candidates, and maybe if you want to entertain a interview process, I would recommend that. I'm not sure what's going to be coming up on your July 23rd meeting, but it might be a lot to bite off to be doing interviews as a whole body, as well as whatever regular business you have at that regular meeting. So I think as you're deliberating on how to proceed, you should keep that in mind, that there's going to be another meeting, in my opinion, that is recommended from between now and then.
I would support an additional meeting. Commissioner Blanco.
Do you happen to remember about how many applicants you had last time this position was open, or about what we could expect, the number? I just don't know if we'd want to sit through like 100 applicants in one night.
My recollection of, I was not present during the last meeting, but I went over the records, and I don't think there was that many, maybe 10 or 12 applicants. At that point in time, the former director, Robinson, had been filling the interim director role for, I'm not sure if it was for a full year, but for some time. And I think it was a similar shortened posting period as what the governing board is proposing here. And so I don't think that you're looking at hundreds of applicants, but if for some reason the floodgates open, you can certainly at that point in time, you can convene a special meeting and say, this is a little unwieldy, maybe we do want a subcommittee to sort through those and give us a ranking of the top 20. So I think you have some nimbleness here that if you want to avail yourselves and some flexibility as we move forward to see exactly what the response is.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. If we hit a certain amount, then maybe we could break it down to a subcommittee. But if we don't, then we could just leave it as a whole body. I think that'd be a good idea.
So then we would need to set a meeting shortly after July 8th, because July 8th is the closing.
Yeah.
And then, Jessica, I'll look to you. Is there a way that I know that applications have to be, application packets and VITAs have to be protected, but is there a way that they can be distributed to all commissioners to review as they come in?
Yes, I think so. And I think what I would recommend for the agency is for them to have a portal similar to the Daybreak portal, so that public can, the open meeting law requires that as materials are made available to this body, they have to be made available to the public. So I think that would be the most efficient way to go about it, that as applications come in, that they are circulated to the commission and then posted on that portal. Is that something that's doable, Chris?
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Okay. Go ahead.
We're doing that at City of Sparks, raising our hands.
You can raise your hand.
I have a question in general about the number of applicants. Say we get 10 applicants and we really only find a couple that are really viable. Do we have to present 3 candidates to the governing board?
Yes, the statute specifically requires for you to present 3 names. Now, you can rank those names, and within that ranking, and we can even prepare a report to the governing board of this body's opinion of the qualifications of those candidates, and any endorsement that you might have of any particular candidate. The only time that we would be able to not present 3 names is if there are not 3 applicants.
So we are not obligated to leave a search open until you get 3 applicants.
No, not necessarily. So we have the search for the terms for the period of time that we're going to run it for, and then whoever applies. And if there's not 3, at least 3, then we have substantially complied with your statutory obligations, and you present whoever then applied, right? And all of a sudden this commission's job is relatively easy, and you might want to think about any kind of recommendations or endorsements of particular candidates to go along with your report to the governing board.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I have a question maybe for Chris related to posting on the APA website. Chris, have you looked at the Nevada APA website recently? It was updated like I think in the last week or so. So I don't know if it functioned the way it did before, where you can post job postings specifically for Nevada. It might default to the national website.
That particular point, I don't know about. I did take a look at the new website and reached out to Amber. I think it's Amber Harmon, regarding the posting. So she didn't seem to indicate any issues with putting the job on the site as well as sending it out to the distribution list. So it seemed to function as per what I would expect in terms of distribution. But I don't, to your point, I don't know if it goes nationally or if that is just restricted to NBAPA.
And I guess a follow-up question to that is, what do we do as a commission? I guess we can talk about this at a subsequent meeting, but if we get, you know, a qualified applicant who doesn't happen to be local, how do we address that? Was the governing board's desire to have someone local because of relocation concerns, interview concerns?
No, I think the governing board's concern was more local as far as how wide were you going to cast the net with advertising and posting. So if, for example, someone came across the TMRPA website and they were out of state, I had no indication from the governing board that that would preclude them from applying or being considered as a qualified candidate. The only other criteria that the governing board did request was that whoever the candidates are, that they wanted them to have regional planning experience.
Okay.
So that's the screening criteria, is regional.
That was about it. And under your statute, the criteria and qualifications are very broad, you know, so that's set forth in the statute. It's pretty, basically, as long as they're qualified and they have planning experience or a degree. I think the posting, which mirrors a posting from the previous director positions, says, you know, a degree, bachelor's or master's in planning or related fields such as geography.
Any other questions? So this is an action item. So we do need to put it, and what I've heard from commissioners is that we want to do this as a committee of the whole to review applicants. And then as applications become available, I'm assuming it'll be Chris that will be sending those to each of us.
I think it'll come from one of us. Damien's email address will be identified on the actual application. So as far as staff's concerned, he's going to receive them and then we'll distribute to him however is most efficient.
And then and posted in the public portal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Madam Chair, Commissioner Vanderwell. So we need a motion. So
Madam Chair,
I
if I
make
may?
a motion that,
Jessica, I mean, not Jessica, Jeremy.
okay,
I think is public comment. Do we need to check for public comment on this item? I believe we do. I don't know that we have any, but
We can have a motion first if we want, and then public comment. Just before you take action, please make sure that
Okay.
there's a public comment.
Well, let's,
sorry to interrupt.
if you don't mind, Commissioner Vanderwell, can I check? to
I
see-
don't mind. Nope.
Do we have,
Right ahead.
Damien, surprised me. Do we have any public comment?
We still have no public comment for this item.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Vanderwell.
Okay, I move that the Regional Planning Commission as a whole will review all applicants that apply for the Regional Planning Executive Director that all I needed?
Well, there's a proposed motion on page 8.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. And then you can modify it to include, instead of a subcommittee, it'll be the commission as a whole.
Okay. All right, well, hold on. Sorry,
That's okay. We'll give you a moment.
wasn't. Okay, so let's go. Okay, I move to direct staff to advertise the Director of Regional Planning position on the TMRPA website with the Nevada chapter of APA and the Reno Gazette Journal printed online from June 26, 2020 through July 8th, 2020. And then I also move that the Regional Planning Commission as a whole will review and submit the candidates to Regional Governing Board.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Reed, second.
Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner Vanderwell and seconded by Commissioner Reed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Vanderwell.
Jessica Prunty.
No, it was just.
Oh, Jessica, I'm sorry. It sounded like
Okay.
and I'm going to my next, finding my agenda. Okay, I'm sorry.
I think the only other direction that staff might need is whether or not this body approves the proposed posting that's in your packet at pages 15 through 17.
Yes. And I thought that was in.
I think that's the last motion
Oh,
on.
yes, where it says I move to approve the director recruitment posting.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Johnson,
Commissioner Johnson?
go ahead and make that motion that I move to approve the director recruitment posting with no modifications as found in attachment 2 of our packet.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Reed, second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Johnson and seconded by Commissioner Reed to approve the director recruitment posting with no modifications. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, thank you, Jessica. Now I'll go back to my agenda. Okay. Item 7 is reports. A is members and directors report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeremy Smith, for the record. I have very little to report, really just that our next meeting will be the regularly scheduled July 23rd, 2020 meeting, unless, of course, you guys decide to host a special meeting for what you just discussed. I'll stay out of that one, I imagine. And also, I would, obviously foresee that all of those meetings throughout the month of July will be online. We received indication of that from the Washoe County staff with regard to using the chambers. So we'll be on Zoom again. Thank you.
Thank you. So to that, Jessica, can we direct staff to do a poll to find out commissioners' availability after July 8th?
Most definitely, Madam Chair. I suggest that maybe they just send out a Google poll or however that is the best method to contact you guys and figure out what's going to be a good date, probably the week of July 15th.
I was thinking the same thing. So, well, it'd be July 13th.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, the week of July 13th, excuse me. Looking at the June calendar.
Okay. So Chris or Damien or whomever, if you'll send that out to ask, select some dates in there and then people's availability for that. Anything else under member or directors reports? Legal counsel report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have one little item. It's unrelated to the agency, but it's an announcement more or less. Norm Azevedo and I are leaving my current law firm, and we are forming our own law firm.
Oh, wow.
It'll be happening
Wow.
next July 1. So
Congratulations.
thank you. We're pretty excited.
Congratulations. I'm so happy. That's awesome.
We're excited. I'm really excited. I've been with my firm for 20 years.
Wow.
and it's the only place I've practiced law. And I've been wanting to hang out my shingle now for a little while. And Norm's along for the ride with me one way or the other right now. And we just decided that it was time. And it's an amicable departure. My current partners are being great, and just a divergence in practices and interests, and ready to move out on my own. Hopefully for not another 20 years, but you never know. I still have kids to get through college.
I was going to say, you still have kids to get through college.
But we're pretty excited, and it will be Azevedo and Prenti, and we have a nice little office in downtown Carson. And maybe once all of this is over and anyone's down, you can stop by and I'll make you a cup of coffee.
Thank you. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Item 8, request for future agenda items. Okay. Seeing none. Item 9.
No surprises this evening. There's no public comment.
Okay. Darn. Okay. Item 10, written correspondence.
There is no written correspondence.
Okay. Item 11, possible adjournment.
Commissioner
Madam
Vanderwell, move
Chair.
to adjourn.
Okay, Commissioner Vanderwell got in there, and then Commissioner Chesney, will you second that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Jessica, I am so happy for you. I just, you can't believe.
Thank you so much, Larry. I appreciate
Go
that.
Ruby Mountains, baby.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. Thank you.
I second that. Congratulations. It's always nice to go out on your own.
I agree. I'm ready.